kind of screwed that up. Hey, everybody, this is Dan with the Spiritual Underground Podcast. Luckily, I have editing tools and I can fix it. Been a great Sunday so far. I always look forward when I wake up in the morning and know I have a guest coming in and get to participate in my recovery in this unique way. Let's get this business out of the way. 12-Step Spiritual Recovery is a book by James Christopher Cone. It can be found on Amazon. It is the 12 steps for everyone. Say over and over again, and I'll kind of keep on hammering on this particular thing. I find it fills three niches. People who don't fit in a traditional 12-step fellowship. If you don't have one of the traditional isms, which, wow, there's so many of them today that it's kind of, I think you'd be kidding yourself if you didn't land in one of them. But that's what this thing does. It tries to trick us into thinking we don't have it. And so if you don't have anything, and you just might need some tools in your life that, stuff just isn't as good or something just doesn't feel right, there seems to be something more to life than what you're experiencing, I can promise you these tools will help fill that void, at least to some extent. 12-Step Spiritual Recovery by James Christopher Cone on Amazon. Music around this podcast is brought to you by Darren Frank. He's produced and written these songs and kind of landed on this one that I use now. Earlier podcasts have a little more varied sampling than what, but the one I'm using now, Let Go and Fly, has solidified as the podcast's theme song. So thank you, Darren. I think that's all for today. I could do a little commercial for my woodworking and handyman stuff, but listen to an old episode and you can find that. So I had a guest today, and I'm starting to feel like I'm echoing in this podcast. And if you listen to it, you know that you know my story and you've heard enough of what I say. But as I relate to my guests and their experience, but I wake up some days or something will ping me and I'm like, how come I haven't asked them to be on the podcast yet? And sometimes it's people I've known for years and sometimes it's people I haven't known very long. Well, that happened the other night during the TSSR meeting, and to the best of my recollection, somebody asked Cindy if she'd been on the podcast and she said, no, not yet. And it, I think that's kind of higher power stuff that points me in certain directions. I try to follow those leads today. And so quickly I throwed out a text and asked her, invited her, and she said yes. And probably known Cindy just a little over a year, maybe. I don't know exactly sure, but she just recently, when was it? When was your sobriety date? We'll go ahead and get that out of the way.
April 13th, 2020. 13th.
Another one of them numbers. So yeah, she just recently this year celebrated 1 year of recovery, and that's pure magic in my world that we're able to employ this way of living and do this work and stay away from substances that we've tried many, many other ways to try to avoid and stop and haven't been able to. And suddenly we do this and it almost starts, this is probably not quite true, but it almost starts feeling easy to stay away from it. It does take my participation in my recovery to continue doing that, because I'll quickly, as an alcoholic brain, I'll quickly forget that I can't do those things. I've experienced that personally in my life. And so I like to get people, that fresh 1 year of recovery is juice. And as much as I like to have somebody come in that's had 25 years of sobriety and they can share their wisdom with me, I really do like fresh recovery better. And it's part of keeping me sober, and I think that's kind of a part, it's like the allure. It's like why food tastes good, so I'll continue eating and won't starve to death. There's juice in being around people new in recovery, and that keeps me plugged in, so I can continue to experience that and have it in my life, and it also helps me not forget where I came from. So we'll get this show on the road after I blabbered for about 5 minutes. And that's how fast time goes. It feels like 30 seconds. How you doing today?
Good.
You excited?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Or nervous?
I'm hesitant. I'm just nervous. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
Just worried about who will hear. Yeah. I'm more worried about my kids hearing. They're adults.
Yep.
So.
Yep. One of them just celebrated 1 year.
Yes. Jordan celebrated this year.
Yeah. So that's super cool. I saw that on Facebook. More miracles. Yeah, it is a concern and I thought about it a number of times, and I specifically know somebody who left a fantastic story out of their podcast, and I was a little disappointed that story was not told, but I understand why it wasn't.
Yeah.
And although I never tell anybody to censor anything, kind of like that liability thing we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast about having people sign a liability waiver when they come in here, I just kind of had to trust and understand that you know what you're getting into, and if there are things that are that sensitive that shouldn't be broadcast, that you will not do so. It's amazing what we do talk about in here, though, and that's the vulnerability and the frankness of which we can speak about our disease when it was active is of value to others who are experiencing that at the moment. So it's unreal, the stories that are told with such vulnerability. Katherine's here with today, so we got two people. I always like the extra energy in the studio when we have a group of people here doing these things. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So where did you grow up? Where were you
born and raised in Louisville.
In Louisville.
Louisville, yeah.
So you stayed there the whole time?
Yeah, I will never leave.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm born and bred in New Albany, and best of my knowledge, I always will be here.
Yeah.
It's just home. Some people have those constitutions that are flighty and they don't like to sit still, and you see these people that move around a lot. And, I'm a little envious of them in a sense because I'm very grounded and like plant my roots and you can't move me. Mm-hmm. There's a security thing I think involved with that I just like where I'm at. I like to visit places,
right?
But I doubt I'll ever pull up my roots.
Yeah, my oldest son this week got offered a job in Seattle, Washington. And the fact that he's planning on moving there in November.
Like,
I'm like, great for you. Yeah. It's awesome. I wish I could do it. Could not do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm happy here.
There's an element that I have that has to do with my recovery here too. To pull up roots from the level of recovery that exists around me. I really think I could say this with all honesty is that like with my current employer, if they wanted to relocate me, I think that would be the breaking point. I'm not leaving my people. Yeah. I'm just not. It means that much to me.
Yeah.
So, want to talk a little bit about how you grew up, siblings, how life was as little Cindy grew up?
Oh, I have an older sister. She's 6 years older.
That's a pretty good spread.
Yeah.
And she was getting out that window that it almost feel like where it's almost not a sister anymore. It's almost like an aunt.
Babysitter. She was the babysitter of us because our parents both worked. And so she was in charge of me a lot. Like there's so many stories I've heard about like me wandering off as a 2-year-old coming back with a black eye. And they asked her, how did she get that? And she was like, I don't know. But we're really close, my sister and I. Like I was mean to her, like, because she was the babysitter, but she was always good to me. And I was just telling Katherine the other day, we've never had a fight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, at least when she got married, I was in 7th grade. From then on, we've been great. Never had an argument. And if we ever had one before that, it was because I was antagonizing her. But, yeah.
Well, siblings are going to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets to feeling a little bit irreparable when in places. But, I don't know, this way of life has repaired most every relationship that I cared to repair. And but it's good that it didn't dissolve because then it's not, one, of course, I shouldn't say that, but one amends you may not have to do, although I still feel like, the harm that I did, I can't allow people to off the hook with their parents or siblings, even if they feel like they didn't hurt them.
No, I might not have hurt her, but I made her worry, so she'll get
that's
one.
Harm.
Yeah.
At the very least, man, you made them worry when they didn't have to.
Right.
And as an adult with children, that feeling of worry about your children. And it's like, I wished I hadn't have made my parents feel this way.
Yeah.
So tell me a little about growing up.
It was just chaotic. It was always chaotic. Yeah. From the get-go. A lot of my early memories are just random fights between my mom and dad. And my mom, having this holier than thou. Your dad is all the trouble, and he was an alcoholic. But looking back, I'm not sure that he was.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not sure that it wasn't just made out to be, because it's hard to say. I can't really look at it from a fair perspective. But, yeah, there were fights, and, like, I can remember watching Charlie Brown Christmas break, and my mom throwing my dad's clothes out the house, and because he got drunk and was a bookie for GE that night or something, and she found him at Trixie's parking lot. Like, just wild stuff. It was always just chaotic.
Yeah. And terribly confusing for a kid to try to figure out, because you're wanting to find this like solid ground. You want the stability around you more than probably anything that ever.
Yeah.
And this is going on. I'm watching Charlie Brown, and this is going on over here off my left shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wonder about, like,
crazy.
I mean, it's always got something. People come in here, and the extent of which the family might or might not have been crazy, it's always a factor.
Yeah.
And it's always a thing that and I can see that I caused the same confusion in my kids' worlds too. Did they stay together?
Oh, yeah, they're happily married.
Oh, yeah?
They're still married.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50. They got married in 1967.
Yeah, that's when my parents got married.
Yeah, 54 years. Yeah.
Seems a little crazy. It also sets up an expectation, it did for me, of a long-term relationship being the way that it should be.
Yeah.
I no longer really believe that's the case. But both my ex-wife's parents and my parents got married one day apart from one another. Mm. My parents got married on April Fool's Day, and they got married the day before. And we didn't know each other, until we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
So, my mom and dad's anniversary's coming up. Really, mine too. One
Same
day
year.
apart. And both,
wow.
They were married for, I guess still are actually, but it set up a thing, and I had that in my family system. There were really no divorce in my family. Mm-hmm. So, like, when I got divorced, there was a level of shame that came with it that probably was unfair.
Yeah. No, my mom wanted me to get divorced the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, she told me, she was like, I won't pay for the wedding, I'll pay for the divorce. Yeah. It was a bad marriage.
Wow.
We were.
Do you recall the first time you used or drank, or?
I remember, yeah. Because the first time I ever drank was in high school, New Year's Eve. Because the next day, I went to my very first college football game. And it was we were in the Fiesta Bowl, U of L. So I flew out with my dad to Arizona for the day. And I didn't drink much, but I was hungover on the plane ride there. Then I felt okay. Then we got back on the plane, and I was like, I feel sick again. So it was like I only experienced it on the plane. But that was the first time that I drank. And then...
How'd it come about?
Oh, just friends at a New Year's Eve party. Yeah. We were at a gospel singer's house. That was my boyfriend was the son of this gospel singer. And I don't know how we had alcohol, but yeah. He did.
I remember my inner being... when I did the first time and subsequent times and stuff, of like tapping me on the shoulder, telling me, Dan, you probably shouldn't really do this. There was a little something in me that told me this was probably not a great idea. But with the peer pressure and the wanting to fit in and all that stacked up on top of it, my defenses weren't adequate.
Yeah, it was definitely peer pressure, because I remember thinking, this is awful. This is like really strong cough syrup. I didn't understand why anybody would drink it. It was gross. It was bourbon and Coke. Diet Coke. There wasn't even sugar in it. It was awful.
Yeah.
But I got over that hump.
Yep.
When I went away to college that first year. I think that was the only time I drank in high school.
Really?
Yeah. I was a very sheltered child. So and I was grounded a lot. Like, that was my mom's way of sheltering me, grounding me. So I stayed grounded for whatever reason.
For what kind of reason?
Oh, if I had bad grades... But she didn't want me dating this guy at school, so that grounding helped keep me from dating him. And I was just grounded a lot. But
I knew a lot of girls that were grounded a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of a protective wing thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it worked.
Let's keep them out of trouble. We'll keep them home.
So that first year I went to college.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not so sure because it's like a dog tugging at the chain and the rope breaks.
Yeah.
Off they go 100 mile an hour.
Right. And that was me. Yeah. Because I went away to school and then I just partied a lot. Came home with a 1.268 GPA and pregnant.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. My mom was like, you didn't even go to classes. And I was like, oh, but I did. I went to them. I just didn't work at them.
Yeah.
I had more important things. I had partying to do. And that caught up quick.
Yeah.
Only took 2 semesters. And then I was done.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At that point I was.
Yeah. Well, that's quite a initial hurdle to jump into college. And
yeah.
It's, you know, to some extent it's normalized, right? People drink in college.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of gets to this thing about where we believe the difference in the stigma attached to being an addict to an alcoholic. If you didn't drink in college, something's wrong with you. You know, well, what do you mean? If you did drugs, you're a scumbag.
I never did drugs then, though. I was still, like, somewhat sheltered that I was like, I never even had seen pot until I was like 25.
Really?
Yeah. And, maybe it's 23. It was 23. And then, even then, the guy that I was seeing smoked all the time. I don't know how I never saw it, but I just never wanted to be around it. Just trying to be a good girl.
Yeah.
You know? I would drink occasionally. But once I got pregnant, I mean, you know, I settled down. Like, there was a good solid 3 years where I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes life will grab you up and have you toe the line. And it's kind of like Bill says there were periods of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason or another, you can turn the grip on it and handle it.
Yeah.
For sufficient reason. And that's a pretty good reason.
I was in mommy mode. I mean, and then when my oldest was 7 months old, I got pregnant again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not much time.
No, it wasn't.
Were you married?
No.
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 Same dad?
No. Complicated stories, especially that first one. The second one, he ended up being my first husband. And, but yeah, you know, I was very much in mom mode and I judged him for smoking all the time or drinking all the time. And actually, when we finally did get married, that's why I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you're drinking all the time. I found cocaine on my kitchen table the night before. I was like, just can't do this. You know, he was just too wild for me where I was at that point in my life. I was in mom mode.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a good young mom. I was young and, you know, I wasn't married yet, but I was very much in what my sister was. However my sister was mothering her kids is how I was mothering my kids.
Yeah.
I was very much, even though I was 20 and 21, I was very mature mom, which, thank God, at some point I was a good mom and doing what I was supposed to be doing.
So how
Till later.
Yeah.
Till later. So then I had my third.
It's like that.
When I had my third child, I had my tubes tied. They gave me Percocet. And then I remember just, you know, at first it was painful. You know, in the hospital, I was like, oh, yeah, this is very painful. And then once I was home, though, I remember thinking, I think I'll just take one of those. And then my husband at the time was like, you act like you're enjoying this. Like, did you even need it? And I was like, yeah, you know, and just making up this excuse. Yeah, it hurt. You know, I've got these stitches.
They gave me these.
Yeah.
They gave them to me.
And I was like, and it's chilling me out. Why don't you like that? You know, I'm usually the one trying to reel you in, you know, like, don't you like me chilled out like this? So that was the first time I was like, oh, these are good.
Yeah, I don't really have, you know, like I was talking before this show, I was hurt so many times as a kid, whether it was a broke ankle or stitches or whatever it was. I was introduced to pain pills pretty damn early, at least single digits kind of thing. But I don't remember like a pleasure feeling wrapped up with it. I don't recall any kind. When I was 19, I had a compound fracture in my leg. And that's the first time. And at the time, I didn't even recognize it. I don't think I put two and two together. Just later on, like I say so many times, is looking in the rearview mirror going, I would stay up half the night because I didn't want to go to sleep I felt too good.
Yeah, don't waste the buzz.
Yeah, but I had them all those times, and I remember my mom being real adamant about that. I was needing to get, because I kind of wanted to play tough. I don't need it. I don't need no pain medication. Oh, God damn it, I'm tough. But my mom always was adamant that I get it. And I remember having, like getting a pain pill or two the first day I'm home, and or back from the hospital, and then I would never see him again. Mm. And it took a lot of looking in the rearview mirror to recognize that also. But you knew there that time that you said, I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew at 25. Being a nurse didn't help,
Had you gone to, when did...
I was in, I just graduated.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I had her in October, and I had 3 months left. But then, I quickly started working at the Brook that following January.
So after the whole one college spell, you did turn around and go back.
I did go back. Yeah. Yeah. And I worked in rehab. And I was the nurse who just thought, how do these patients let this get so far? Like, how do you get so far in this? I mean, I was so judgmental, and just thought they were them, I was me, and I was on this other side. So I just had so much judgment there. And then, slowly I got to their side. But it took a while. I mean, because from the time that I liked it at 25, it wasn't until I was probably 35 that I really started, all right, let's take this seriously and start. Because I would have, I had a gallbladder out or, different things. And then I'd be in a hydrocoma for a while and then get off of it. And then I was better. And I was like, okay, thank God. I don't need it, Yeah. But then I started working from home. So that's where things went bad.
Well, part of this, I think, part of this cunning, baffling, and powerful is this seemed to be this propensity to judge these other people. Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'm different, right? The terminal unique thing that these poor folks have got themselves into this. And I had a friend at work that constantly was battling alcoholism, and I can plainly see he was a drunk. And really they ought to fire his ass. And, the minute the horn bell went off at work, I was across the street at the gas station, get a 12-pack of beer and had 3 or 4 of them in my belly before I got home. And the rest of them would be gone before the night was over. But that guy had a problem.
Yeah.
And I have had a few people say to me in my recovery, I guess I could say my brother would say, I knew you had a problem. And then right after that would be the crack of a beer can cracking open,
Yeah.
And, he's sober today, so probably wouldn't mention that if he hadn't been.
Well, I drank quite a bit from 25 to 35. I'm leaving all that out. I mean, I had quite a few holiday parties where people would have to be like, no, don't get on top of that table, and so a lot of them, my friends were babysitting me throughout all this. And then later when I finally do say, oh yeah, I have a problem, and they're like, what? And I'm like, how did you not know? I mean, you all were constantly talking me out of things all the time. But, I had bunco groups and we would drink a lot of wine. I was always the one who drank the most, but still, even though we all worked in rehab, they still just didn't really see it. Or
that's definitely a little point worth making. If it's just normal people, but people who work in the field, you'd think they would have, like I said earlier, that AA dar.
Yeah.
That they'd say something is definitely wrong with her.
Yeah. You would think.
Yeah. But it's another one of these things that just these commonalities of us is that we're like, and I don't know that we do this on purpose. I'm not saying we're doing this consciously. But we are like the best con men in the world, con men and women in the world. That we put off a pheromone that says we don't have a problem. We can con people into believing that we're okay, we're managing.
Yeah,
I just overshot the mark tonight.
Yeah, I drank too much because that food was so spicy, and I had to wash it down with something, and I just drank too much that night. Yeah.
And then, I think I got food poisoning. I can't think how many times I thought that I had food poisoning when it was just severe hangover.
Yeah.
Puking the next day. Must have been what I ate. Couldn't have been what I drank.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh. I still can't even. The thought of a Fireball one night. It was awful. I couldn't drink for a year.
Really?
After I drank on that. Yeah. That was like in probably 2010, 11. Oh, it was 11. The year UK won the championship. No, that was 12. Sorry. My dad would be very disappointed in me not knowing my basketball stuff because we won in 13. They won in 12. So it was 2012. I went and met a basketball player for a signing, and it was a long wait. So drank a lot of Fireball. And then I couldn't drink for a year.
But you didn't stop taking pills?
No, I was taking pills. But I couldn't drink. It was like, that was just too much. That was what I liked about the pills. It didn't upset my stomach like the alcohol did. Mm-hmm. Even though it still might make me throw up. I could tolerate that rather than I could like the hangover of alcohol.
Yep, definitely.
I don't know what that is about.
Yep. The withdrawals are unpleasant to say the least. Mm-hmm. But there was never really later on, as I got down the pike, I started recognizing somewhat of like a hangover kind of thing with the pills later, as my tolerance went up and had to take more and more. But you don't really have a hangover from not like alcohol. Alcohol's horrible.
Yeah.
I heard Jordan Peterson today said, we couldn't have really picked a worse drug to make legal than alcohol. Any other drug would be probably better off to make legal than alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol's the one that makes you aggressive. You don't get aggressive on pain pills. You don't get aggressive smoking weed. Matter of fact, you just want to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
We picked alcohol to legalize.
Impairs everything. Mm.
The universal solvent, I saw some meme said, it will destroy everything in your life. It will dissolve everything in your life. Relationships, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
How did you keep, if that's a cool question to ask, how did you stay in supply? I found it.
Oh, man.
You know how I did it.
Well, I went through a lot of money first.
So you bought them like on the black market, on the drug market?
Yeah. I mean,
see, I never found that. I'm actually a little disappointed. There was something in me that wouldn't find them, so that's why I was in people's houses when I wasn't supposed to be.
Well, the psych hospital that I worked at had their own drug dealer that worked there and supplied staff with whatever, mostly pot. But if you wanted something else, he could get it. Mm-hmm. And so when I was working from home, he just randomly texted me one day. I was like, what are you up to? And I was like, nothing. What are you up to? And then he was like, hey, I've got, some pills if you're ever interested. Of course I was, and, I didn't.
There in a minute.
Yep. I can leave right now. Nobody will know. I'll tell my daughter to move the mouse while I'm, so it looks like I'm still on the computer, at work. I met him. Of course, he gave me a few for free at first. Got to hook me in. Mm-hmm. And then gave me really good deals too at first. And then before you know it, I was just wasting so much money. I don't even want to. When went through the Brook for IOP, they make you fill out this worksheet about how much money you think you've wasted, like with your addiction. Oh my gosh, it was like $500,000. Yeah. It's insane because I had to account for like time that I wasn't working as a nurse also. So that whole salary was gone for years. So
what the financial impact is in whole.
It's insane. It's insanity.
It is.
But then when it got to be where I just couldn't keep up with purchasing how much I wanted or needed, I had somebody else that had all these pills that they were prescribed, and it was major amounts and it was high amounts. He ended up going up to like 30 milligram oxycodones that he was prescribed for a day, and he didn't use them all. And I was like, hey, I know somebody you can sell those to that will give you this much for them. And I basically was gypping him, and I kept some for myself, sold like maybe 20 of them to pay for what I needed to pay him. So that went on for a few years. I mean, even after I like wrecked my car and it was totaled, didn't have a car, I would have him delivered to the neighborhood. I'd go for a walk, pretend like I was giving him directions, get it from him, have the next person that I was going to sell it to come do the same thing, take the dog for a walk, and then get that money back to him. But I mean, I didn't like it when somebody said, "So you were trafficking?" And I was like, "Well, I wouldn't call it that." I didn't see it like that, but it is what it is.
Drug dealing.
Yes, that is what it's called. But I was just thinking I was feeling, no, I'm just getting my supply.
Yeah.
And
that's
just
a justification thing. That's another one of them levels of that cunning, baffling, powerful, because you couldn't talk me into believing I'm doing something wrong, but it's that gets its hooks in you and will have you do things that are contrary to your true nature.
I mean, he had 100 pills he would let me sell every month. I would sell 20, keep 80. And I would tell myself every time, okay, this is going to last me. I'm going to make this last.
Too.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
Yeah, they're powerful. Like, they were so powerful.
Don't have any damn acetaminophen in them or
no,
nothing,
exactly. So whatever stomach issues you got from the other ones, you didn't have it from these.
And you could snort them and shoot them if you wanted to.
I didn't do that.
I never did do that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I snorted some. But,
I never did.
Just trying to find some way to get high faster.
Yeah.
I don't know that it actually ever worked. But
yeah.
One of the funniest things that I did was I was so concerned about my acetaminophen intake that I started doing that cold water extraction. You know what that is?
No. But I used to worry about my liver enzymes.
Yeah, I would worry
because of that.
Right. Yeah.
Because of the Tylenol, not because of anything else.
Yep, me too. I was really concerned about how much Tylenol I was taking. And you take them and you crush them up. Might be careful, but it's all over the internet. You take them and crush them up, and if you put them in cold water, and it will separate the acetaminophen is not water soluble, and all the acetaminophen will fall to the bottom of your cup, and then you can pour it through like a coffee filter, and then you just got like a dose of hydrocodone or oxycodone, whichever one you're doing, like in liquid form.
Wow.
And you're able to get all the Tylenol out of it. And to work that hard, plus you had to wait. It took like 30 minutes or so for it to separate. So, you're... And then to go one step further, that this is crazy.
Because that Tylenol so bad.
And I come within some inches of doing this, but I never could pull the trigger on it. That then some people said it's even better if you take that liquid and shoot it up your butt rather than swallow it.
Like an enema?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But you got to be real careful because you can't let it run out.
Yeah,
and all
you
this
can't.
And this is on the internet. But I mean, that's the insanity of this thing, man. Is that I'm trying to figure out how to make the most out of what I got. Trying to dodge the acetaminophen issue, and it's there's no other word than insanity that really
it's crazy
encapsulates that.
The stupid stuff we did.
Yeah.
So I was trafficking for a while. That's horrible to say. I don't even like saying it. I don't like admitting it. But I did that for probably 3 years. And then finally I was just like, this is exhausting.
It is.
It is so exhausting. It's when I totaled my car, like in Thanksgiving of whatever year that was.
High?
Probably. Not real high, if that makes it. That
you don't
sounds.
think that was the.
No, I was definitely on my phone, distracted.
Okay.
I was looking to see what the traffic was going to be like, and then I ran right into the traffic. Yes, I was on Waze. And, but no, I totaled my car, and then once, that was like in November, so I kept that up for about 3 more months of people coming to the neighborhood, going on walks, that kind of thing. And then I was like, I just can't do it. I'm so tired of it. And I just gave it up. I mean, it was not easy, but I just was exhausted. It was better than playing the game still. And it was just, I was too tired from it.
So what'd that look like? I mean, you just give it up. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I told, my person who had all these oxycodone. And I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I can't.
I'm quitting.
Yeah. He didn't know it was me. He still might not know it was me that was actually taking most of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you were just his...
Yeah, I was his in-between person. And then, oh, no. See, this is what I tell myself, that I just gave it up. I forgot that my iPhone burned up one night. Like, it was, like, laying up against me, and it, like, got so hot, it overheated, and it stopped. I lost all contacts. That's probably how it stopped. Because I lost everybody's number. I lost that person's number. I lost whoever I was going to sell it to's number. It's so ridiculous that I'm thinking I just got tired and stopped. No! I lost all the contacts. I forgot all about that.
So I love when I get to that point in the AA book. It says, sometimes he may tell the truth. And that means a lot to me because I know these people aren't lying to me. It's just this thing you're talking about there where, my ego or whatever does anything to try and take me off the hook on,
it was tiring.
Stuff.
Don't get me wrong. It was tiring and exhausting.
Quit.
Yeah. But my phone burning up is probably what
I've seen that
saved
before.
that.
I've never known anybody that actually had that happen.
Yeah.
They tell you don't sleep with it under your pillow and and houses burning down and things like that. You actually had the phone burn up.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't catch fire, but like it was so overheated that that it just when you press the little round button, it doesn't even indent in.
Yeah.
So I lost all those contacts. Thank God. Literally.
So all of a sudden you're not just getting a hold of these people anymore, and they're probably wondering where you are. Are they coming over?
No.
If you stopped calling me, I'd be knocking on your door.
Yeah.
If I knew where you lived. If you were doing a little walk, anybody may not know exactly where you were at, just the neighborhood you lived in.
When the person I was getting them from did know, because he did something at our house for my mother. So I'm being very vague because I don't want my kids to find out who this is. But he knew, but it was okay. Things, I think I told him I can't do this forever at some point, There
was no sweat off his back, really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was...
It's not like he
extra
was getting
600
the pills. If you get the pills, that shit becomes a real problem.
He was just getting 600 a month, I think.
Golly, man.
That wasn't much for his...
But, they did that whole crackdown on supplies and stuff after a while, so this was probably before.
No, he went through that whole thing, too, and he ended up still getting them.
Wow.
So, I remember when he warned me on that, hey, I might not be getting them. I was sweating that. And then I think he had to go through pain management for 2 months, and then they referred him back to his doctor. So, never had an issue of him not having them.
Interesting. I have to get his address.
No.
So, is that in relation to your sobriety date? That's how you stopped, or there's more
no?
to the
That
story?
was in 2017.
Okay.
So I just stopped because I ran out of contacts and I was exhausted. I did get a hold of this person I was getting them from to do something else in our house, but I didn't ask for any more. Like, hey, let's sell these.
One of these periods of sobriety.
So I had it from like 2017 to probably 18 or 19, and then I started drinking because it was in the house. My son was there. He was drinking. We began watching Game of Thrones together. It was his nights off that we watched it, and he would drink, and then I was like, oh, you know what? Do you care if I drink? And he's like, sure. And then it made him feel better about his drinking.
Yeah.
So we had a partner, and then, it just was supposed to be 2 days a week we were drinking. And then I was looking for ways to start finding more I would go get my own. It used to be I'd just borrow from him. Then I started getting my own. Or
it's kind of like smoking other people's cigarettes. And then after a while, I was like, I better buy something for myself.
Yeah.
Or
and he lived with us. Like, I lived with my parents at the time. And my son lived there with his girlfriend. It's his wife now, and they had a baby, and my daughter lived in the basement. It was all chaotic. And, my son, he had it. And so I was just like, it was fine for us to just hang out and drink. But when they moved out, I was like, oh, screw this. How am I going to live in this house without them? And so I just started drinking every night. And it was all in relationship. In my head, my reasoning was my mother. It's her day off. She's going to be home. I need a drink to cope with her. The days she worked, I've got to celebrate that she's gone, you know?
Yeah.
So every day was a perfect day to drink. All in my head related to my mom.
Yep. We have to point it at something, you know. We know it's not, we know we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I mean about that. Like, even the fact that you had to have an excuse is somewhat inside of you telling you that something is not exactly right.
Yeah.
If you didn't have any of that.
Well, I knew that was insanity.
Yeah.
I need to drink on her off days and her work days. That's every day.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, that pointing the finger outward, because it's not me.
Yeah. Right.
It's them.
Yeah.
If you had a job like I have, if you had a wife like I have, if you have a husband like I have, if you have a mom like I have, you'd drink too.
It's crazy.
So the pills coming back in action with it?
No.
I even had alcohol and opiates, man. That's two things I really like to mix up together.
I did get a kidney stone at some point, like in 18 or 19. I think it was 19. And, you know, I was given a prescription for it. My mom took half of them, which was whatever. But I did do okay, like it didn't trigger anything. Once I passed it, I was good. That stone was bad. So, that's when, because before that, I thought I could never go back into nursing. I was like, it's going to be too tempting to be around pills and other sick nurses, because they're all out there. You know, there's lots of them. And I thought, I don't even need to work as a nurse. You know, my pill addiction was just too much. But when I had that kidney stone...
So you're still working as a nurse back when it was...
No, I'd gotten fired.
Okay.
Not fired, but let go. Or I quit before they could let me go. But when I realized that I could take those hydrocodone for the kidney stone and was able to be off of them, I was like, oh, well, maybe I could do nursing again. So maybe I do, you know, maybe I'm not as bad as I thought I was. But it did give me a little bit of hope, because I thought I just could never be around them.
So inside, you'd set this oxycodone addiction down.
Yeah.
Essentially off of a phone that didn't work anymore. And just stopped. But you knew that, like, you couldn't go work in the place where they would be around.
Yeah. I was still scared of that. I remember, because people would say, why aren't you just trying to get your nursing license in good standing? And I was like, I don't trust myself at this point. And I didn't.
Because I hate to, I feel like I'm poking a little bit, but so why was the nursing state license not in good?
Okay, so I've been working for Humana for a while. I shouldn't have even said that, but working at home.
You've been working.
I've been working at home.
Who for really don't matter a lot.
Yeah. And in the summer of 16, I decided, because I moved in with my parents at that point, I was like, I don't really need to worry about how much money I'm making anymore, because I'm living here for free. I can go to a lower paying job and go back to the place that I loved at the psych hospital. So that's what made me think, go back there. And I thought I was able to go there and work high on opiates. Like, I was just still, they were 30 milligram tablets that I had, you know, and I could take 3 and try and go into work. That's insanity.
Yeah. To
go work in rehab high, you know.
I had myself convinced I did better. You know,
no, I didn't. I wasn't convinced. I thought I was. I was better at the talking, but no, I was having a hard time staying awake because it was third shift, and I was dozing off, and so at one point though, before it was time to get paid, I ran out of pills. I didn't have money, so I cleaned up the bedroom one night and was cleaning out everything and took one little cartridge with me. So, and that got discovered within a week. And then they had us do drug testing. I tried to sneak in some urine. Got caught with that because the lady was in the room with me. I was like, I did not know that they even did that.
Yeah.
But she noticed. She was like, what's under your arm there? And I was like, I'm tired. That's where I was tired. It was all exhausting. I was like, I'm just done. So, and the bad thing is, my manager was one of my best friends. We had worked together for years, and she had moved up. And then I came back, she hired me, and then I had to call and tell her I screwed up. And this is like a really good friend. And they were like, all right, just come in the morning. We want to talk with you. And I was like, all right, I know I'm getting fired. And I was like, so I called her the next morning. I was like, do I have to come in for this meeting? Can I just give you my keys and be done? And she was like, yeah, if that's what you want. So she came out to my car. You know, I remember her crying and saying, I hate this. And I was like, I felt bad for doing that to her and then doing it to myself too. But I just gave her my keys and I technically resigned, even though I was going to get fired. So they reported it to the board of nursing. And I mean, and gratefully, that's all they did. They could have called the cops.
Yeah.
I know a friend who was like, yeah, they called the cops on me, not them, but where she got caught. And, you know, I could have went to jail. It could have been a whole thing, but it was just reported to the board. So
they were suspended your license and you didn't try to do anything to get it back?
Nope.
Or at that moment you just
I was just done. I was like,
said, okay, well, I guess that chapter's over.
Yeah. It just seemed like it was a dead stop in everything. It was like, all right, because at that point my kids were grown and I'm like, all right, I used to be a wife, you know, a nurse, a mom with these kids in the house. It's like, what have I got now? You know, just seemed like everything was just gone. And it was pretty much due. I mean, the kids aging didn't have anything to do with it, but you know, losing everything else pretty much was due to my addiction.
I was talking to a guy the other day and I could not come up with the damn word because I sponsored a guy for a while who had the same kind of thing. And when he first told me about it, he said he had been diverting medications. And it's never one of the things like, I'm not a drug dealer, you know. And you know, and initially I guess I was naive enough or something that I just thought maybe, you know, diverting just meant they were going someplace else where they weren't supposed to be going. I didn't even like put two and two together in the beginning that they were going in him.
They weren't going to the patients. He was supposed to be going.
He was an ER doc and he was diverting the
IV
drips and shit.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. And talk about exhausting and hoops you got to jump through to sneak that crap out of there. Because otherwise it went in the garbage, you know, so they weren't really counting it. Not like pills in the cabinet at like your thing. They got pretty good inventory of what they got. Yeah. And something happens, they know what, you know.
But it's just so easy to, like, it's sad. I mean, I'm thinking, no, you can get around that kind of stuff. Like, it's liquid. You would just put as much water back in, you know, or saline or just nurses are, I swear.
That's what I mean about us being these con people. You know, these, whatever it is in us that does all this juking and jiving to get around and get what we want. We will pull some real stunts and pretty damn ingenious about how we're going to go about it. I felt like something was missing in there about that diverting.
The diversion.
The diverting of medications. I should be a little careful, but I guess it doesn't make any difference. I haven't said his name. He told me he turned himself in.
That's the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. They like that.
Yeah. Well, when he turned himself in is when they called him in the office and the pharmacists and the lawyers and the bosses and everything are in there. And when he was backed into a corner, he turned himself in.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like you in a sense. After when your gig was up and then later on, I'm like, that doesn't qualify for like turning yourself in. You were back in the corner and had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And you said, okay, I give. But he's going through the whole whatever care and all that. I think is that what's called in Kentucky, where you to get your license reinstated and everything. And I know quite a few people. It's I guess it's really what it comes down to is that it's part of this nobody's immune thing. Because like I can say, what I want to say is I know quite a few nurses and people in the medical community that has had that. But I also know a lot of painters and a lot of HVAC guys and a lot, you know. One of the things that people that work in the restaurant industry talk about how prevalent the pills and stuff are in that community, you know. But I'm not so sure that it's more so there than anywhere else, really. That's just that person's experience, you know. It's everywhere. It
is everywhere. But when you're surrounded by it,
I get it.
You know, and if, like I said, if you have another sick nurse right there with you, hey, do you want to waste this pill? We pulled it. You know, do we want to waste it? And we do the little air quotes, you know, waste it. It's where it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. No doubt. It's like an alcoholic working in a liquor store, bartending, or something like that. The stuff again, cunning, baffling, powerful stuff. It has such a power on you that just being in proximity, like we were talking before about, seeing prescription bottles and hearing pills rattle, and it's like the stuff talks to you. I've told people I think I can smell it.
Yeah.
Smell there's something in this house someplace.
Yeah, you could always find it.
Yeah, and I would.
I know.
I knew all the places people hid them. And not everybody hides them.
Right.
Some people just have them sitting right there. But some people put them in the sock drawer, and some people put them in the back of the drawer in the bathroom. And you don't just pull the drawer out a little bit and look. You pull that drawer all the way out, because that pill bottle will be all the way back here in the back corner. And,
even when I had my own, like I knew that rattle was a dead giveaway, so I would stuff toilet paper down in the pill bottle, and then
nobody else is listening.
Yeah, I know. But I was afraid. Yeah, I was like, I don't want that to give it away. And then I would hide it in this pillow, like a zip-up pillow, decorative one.
Yeah, I would never keep them in any kind of container.
No.
Because when I was stealing them, I get the whole bottle.
Yeah. Then you got to toss that bottle.
So I got somebody else's name on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so you always had to stick them in something else and
Yeah.
ditch that, and ditch that someplace where they couldn't be connected to you. Usually I would peel the labels off also, and maybe even burn it.
I'd soak them in water.
And
that's so awful.
To get the labels off?
Yeah, just to get rid of their name so that nobody knew that I had it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yep. It's
craziness.
It is crazy. But the pills didn't end up taking you down.
No. You would think that would have been enough. But then, then I started drinking. And then I drank every day, at least for a year. I mean, my son would be like, how often are you drinking? And I was like, oh, not as often. Not too often, And he'd be like, yeah, me neither. And then later on, now we've discussed it. Yeah, we were both drinking every day. We were just not telling each other
it's the proverbial, how many have you had, sir? A couple.
Yeah.
We always are underplaying how much.
Yeah. And I mean, I was so good at hiding it for so long. I mean, nobody knew I was drinking for a year. Every day. It was just, I thought I was good. Eventually I got caught, so I wasn't that good. But Easter 2020, COVID, it was depressing. We had just been in lockdown for a month. Maybe not even that. And Easter was the first holiday that we weren't going to get to have with family. And that's a big holiday in our family. Like, my dad goes all out, plays all these games. Kids walk away with $100. Like, it's just a big ordeal. And that day was just awful. No family was coming over. My mom was hiding. Like, she hid like dog treats and some eggs and was wanting me to film her having the dog's Easter egg hunt. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. I cannot believe this is what the sum of my Easter is. So that day I started drinking at 5. Well, I always gave myself a time. I didn't start drinking until 6 in the evening.
Okay, yeah.
But that day I started at 5. And that just was what in my head, I was
you did a lot
allowing
better. We
myself.
Always said noon.
Oh, yeah. No, I would say 6 at night. Well, it took me that long to recover for the whole day, from drinking all night. Vodka. Yeah. And, my mom always had lots of Diet Sunkiss. And then I learned to get smart. I would take ice up to my room, put it in a cooler, so I didn't even have to go downstairs and refill up on ice. Yeah. Have some 2 liters in my closet, and And then that night, I was drunk too fast, and never done Facebook Live ever, but that night I did, and I went on there, and I was obviously drunk. And people were like, are you okay? Now, they didn't know I was drinking, but they knew I used to do pills, so they're all assuming that's what I'm doing. And I get on there and start telling people how my mom is breaking all the COVID rules. She's a hairdresser. She's going to people's houses and doing their hair. Like, I'm trying to out her about all this. Like, it's so bad. Yeah. And
this people, is one of those things we do, man. We'll stomp on other people,
right?
So that, you don't see me,
Yeah,
diversion tactic.
So I people that were watching me on Facebook Live started calling my parents saying, she's on something, she's on drugs or something. She's up there and she's saying all this shit. And so,
the sons of bitches call my mom.
No, 45 years old at this point. No, however old. But and then they came.
I talk about like that last time around here. One of the miracles was my name was never in the paper. My name had been in the paper plenty of times here in New Albany. If you jaywalk, you get your name in the paper. And here I was sitting at 45 years old, buying a New Albany Tribune every day to see if my name was in there today. Yeah. So that my mom and dad wouldn't find out.
Oh, yeah. It's all about not getting in trouble.
Yeah.
No matter how old you are, you don't want to get in trouble.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. So they came and confronted me up in my bedroom, and I just saw red, is how my son puts it. And I went after them physically.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And, tried to go after my mom, and she, ran out of the house, and I tried to chase her, and I don't know if you know Lake Forest. It's a very nice neighborhood in Louisville.
Done some work in there.
Yeah. Easter Sunday, me drunk, chasing my mom, telling people.
At night.
Yeah, at night. This woman doesn't social distance. Just trying to call her out.
It's her. She's the evil one.
It's so insane. They called my son. He lived 7 minutes away at that point. He came over. They tried to calm me down. I just wouldn't stop. I just was belligerent. He was like, please calm down. They're going to call the cops. They called the cops. Cop came, tried to calm me down. I heckled her, trying to, telling her, you know what this woman does? She is out cutting people's hair in their house, thinking that was so awful. But
take her away.
Yeah.
Not me.
I'm like, the governor says they're not supposed to be doing that, and I was just all full of myself, just thinking I'm following all the COVID rules.
That's similar to my friend I was talking about being backed into the corner, that when you're being confronted to people, we act, don't know how somebody's going to react.
Yeah.
Whether it's violence or whatever, And
I've never been violent. That's just not me. I would never do that.
That wouldn't be really violence as far as a physical violence thing, but it was definitely sounds violent.
Oh, it was out of control, for sure.
Chaotic deal.
Very chaotic. Then the next thing you know, they didn't take me to jail. They took me to U of L. EPS.
They took you to the hospital.
They took me to EPS, which I knew what that was. I used to get patients from there all the time,
What is it?
EPS, it's Emergency Psychiatric System.
Okay.
And so we would get a lot of our really psychotic patients from there. And then that's when things started to sober up. And I was like, oh, hell, what have I done? Because, I knew. I was like, oh, I've really screwed up. I went after the people that I'm living with. That's not good.
No.
And they'd already told the cop she's not allowed to come back here. And I was just screwed.
Mom and Dad kicked me out.
Yeah. And my son was like, you're not going to need to go get help. And I was like, I don't want to go get help. And he was like, go to the Brook. I'm like, I used to work there. I can't go be a patient there. And I was like, well, and then finally we decided I would go to DuPont because I was at KMI working. And I went to DuPont and didn't qualify for inpatient. Pissed my son off. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't qualify for it. And he was like, you're telling them she's like, you know what to say, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I do know what to say, but I'm just giving them, I just didn't qualify. I really,
Did you play them?
No, I really didn't. I told him everything I could. Honestly, I needed a place to stay, so it wouldn't have behooved me to go ahead and stay there. But I wasn't going to have any signs of withdrawal. I was too, I don't know.
Somehow not.
Yeah, so I just didn't make it to inpatient, so they put me in outpatient. I even tried getting the doctor that I knew that was the good one, but, my son was adamant that I stay the night there, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
They won't let me.
Yeah. It was COVID too, so, they were probably a little bit more specific on who they would keep.
Yeah. We had step 2 as the topic the other night, and that is a big, huge thing about sanity, and he's like, they sent you to the psych ward, but we still say, I'm not crazy. That is where, back in the old days, before they had treatment centers and stuff, they sent us to the asylums.
Yeah.
People who had chemical dependency problems. And then we want to argue about whether we're acting crazy or not. That if I'm sane, if I need to be restored to sanity.
Yeah.
Doesn't take me much anymore, but that disease inside wants to fight that tooth and nail for me.
Yeah.
Every block and parry I can do to try to keep me out of that, to be labeled as an alcoholic or an addict.
Yeah.
You see people quite often, I'm just schizophrenic.
I'm just schizophrenic.
They would take that label before being diagnosed with alcoholism. It's something else.
Yeah.
Every day it's depression and anxiety.
Right.
No, I'm just depressed. I'm anxious.
Yeah. So, I didn't have any place to go. So the guy down at EPS, a security guard there.
Said you can come stay with me?
Yep. He said, I was joking, and I was like, he said, I wish I could help you out or something. I was like, you got an extra room? Ha ha ha, because I'm not going to be able to go back to my parents. And he said, well, actually, I do. And I have 3 cars that I own. So if you needed a car to drive. And I was like, okay, this is insane. So I got his number before I left U of L. Then I went to the Brook and did my assessment. Then after they wouldn't let me stay inpatient, I went home with my son. And I was like, I'm going to have to call that guy from the security guard. And he was like, Mom, this is crazy. I was like, is it any crazier than going and living on the street? So my son was like, I just cannot believe you're thinking of doing this. But it was my only option at that point. It was either that or go to a homeless shelter. And so I called that guy. He came and picked me up from my son's house. And I stayed there for like a week and did IOP from this man's house on Zoom. I did IOP. And he was nice at first. And then I found out he brought women home from EPS quite a bit. And usually would feed them whatever their substance of choice was. Now, he didn't do that to me. He didn't ever offer it. I was fine.
Well, I'm sure that all had some other thing behind it more than...
Yeah. I don't...
I'm sure where his intentions lie.
So when I found out... Because a girl that used to live there, she stopped by to pick up something. And she told me, she was like, oh... She was like, he's got another... She was like, he calls these people his victims. I was like, well, that was scary. Yeah. I was like, all right, well, that's scary. And I was like, how often has he done this? I found all that out.
Extra room in the basement.
Right. So I called my son and I was like, oh my God, he's done this a lot. He's had this many people here. Usually he does this, is what she told me. And I was like, I'm scared to death. Well, my son called my mom and dad and was like, hey, Mom is stuck in this crazy place with this guy. And is there any way she can come back? And they let me. And of course, my mom will now say she did that for my son, not for me. Yeah. But that night, I moved all my stuff back. My mom was really nice. She welcomed me back in. She was friendly. And then, and I've been sober ever since. But our relationship didn't get better. It was.
What that noise is.
It sounds like a muffler.
Okay. You probably hear it better. My guy across the street has a drag hot rod that he takes out for spins. I'm sure that's what it is. He's recently tuned it up and it's changed. He's done something to hop it up.
It's definitely a motor.
Sounds like a top fuel dragster. When I first heard it, I thought it was thunder. And then it sounded like somebody rolling their garbage can and going through it's too long a roll.
Or it's a motorcycle.
I think it's that he's got a 57, 56 Chevy that's just hopped up like a mug, man. You can just feel the power in it. He probably has to be really careful with the accelerator where he don't break the tires. And the other day he come down, he had that chalk in the back window like he'd been at Ohio Valley Raceway or something. It was actually drag racing. It sounds like that. So that's probably what that is. Sorry, it distracted me terribly.
Oh,
so you went into the outpatient at DuPont.
Yeah.
To Brook.
Yeah.
Met some pretty awesome counselor.
Oh, I didn't meet him first. I had another counselor. But when my counselor was out...
there that day?
No, I just had another counselor because I was in the dual program.
Okay, dual diagnosis.
Yeah, I had dual diagnosis because I had so much crap to deal with mentally. I mean, my mother and I have always had a complicated relationship, but it was so complicated. And I mean, when I stopped using opiates, so I started drinking, and when I was drinking, I stayed up in my room, isolated. I was depressed. It was just a bad time. I mean, at one point, I wasn't talking to my mom when I lived there and didn't see her for 3 months, and we lived in the same house.
Wow.
Like, I would only come down at night when she was sleeping, and I would get food, take it back up to my room. Like, it was crazy. For 3 months, I did not see that woman.
And that's sober.
Huh?
And that was sober?
And that was sober. Yeah. Yeah.
Goes to show you that, and they frequently have trouble with those groups when they have, whether they're trying to figure out if you're rooted truly in a psych issue or substance abuse is really
which came first,
issue, or maybe, the dual diagnosis. You actually have both. I think all of us are actually, if you want to get down to nuts and bolts, we're all dual diagnostic by the dual diagnostic by then, because the stuff doesn't make you. Because
eventually you get yourself in a situation that it is depressing.
Yeah, right. You're either depressed or anxious, or who knows what in between. And actually, a lot of times it can look like other more serious psych issues like bipolar and what's one of the ones, dissociative disorders and things like that. It looks a lot like it. I hear one of my favorite speakers talks about people coming to him with those claims, and he's like, well, I want you to go to my doctor, and who I don't tell him this, but my doctor's been sober for 30 years, and he's got the AA DAR, and talk about people, because one day we go in and we look like we're schizophrenic, and another day we look like we're bipolar, and another day they can't figure out what we are. And when we work these steps and get all that ironed out and start practicing these principles, we'll find out that most of that goes away, and turns out that drugs and alcohol were my problem.
I don't know. I still say I was very anxious and depressed from very young age.
Well,
always have been.
Alcohol is a depressant.
Yeah.
And if you're putting it in your body every day,
of course you're going to be depressed.
Depress you.
yeah, definitely.
And not to mention the inner battle that goes on with because what I'm hearing too is that there was a lot of things that happened that you didn't really get into any details about here today, but there was a lot of, let me just use the word, maybe perceived failures in your life that had you feeling pretty down.
Yeah.
Because now here I'm living at mom and dad's house.
Right.
And
we're
doing this sneaking around.
6 years before that, I had a husband and a house and a nice home.
Right, yeah.
In Oldham County. Yeah.
Ego gets beat down.
Yeah.
To where I feel like I'm a stack of shit.
Yeah.
And the only way I can feel okay is to get loaded.
Yeah.
And then I get loaded and I wake up tomorrow morning and I think I'm even a bigger piece of shit because of last night. And it just cycles, that vicious cycle, of just like driving a hammer into wood. Every day is a lower day than yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a wicked, wicked thing.
Yeah. Sad. But I had another counselor. And then she mentioned that there was another counselor who had this group on Thursday nights. I think she called it a spirituality class, is what she called it. And I was like, well, that sounds interesting. And then, so I just went to that. And, I remember my first night in there, even saying...
Was that TSSR meeting?
Yeah, it was TSSR Thursday night.
A meeting, not a class.
Yeah, but I didn't know at the time.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but I remember saying, I'm a nurse. I used to work in drug rehab and psych hospital at the other Brook. I was like, and here I am. Now, looking back, Christopher said, hey, just so you know, I'm a counselor. And I'm an alcoholic too. And I didn't think at that time, I just thought we were in an AA meeting. I didn't realize we were in this meeting and this guy wrote this book and that was the guy. And later on, when I had to, my counselor was out for whatever reason. And then I had Christopher as a substitute counselor. I was like, oh, that's that guy. And then I was like, oh, it took me a while to put everything together that, okay, he's the counselor. That's why he said that. He's wrote this book. That's what this meeting is about. It took a while for me to piece that together.
I can see.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't want to come in there and thump that necessarily.
Right.
And,
Definitely.
he does have a, I don't know.
Humble.
I was going to say a certain amount, but I don't want to put a label on, but there's an element of humility there that doesn't, you could open the meeting with.
Hey, I wrote this book, guys.
And that's why you're all
and that's
here.
why you're here. Yeah, for sure. But it did take me a while to catch on to that.
Yeah, and good, because actually that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He will tell you all day long it ain't about him.
Yeah.
And that would start making it. If it was otherwise, that would start making it look like it's about him.
Right.
And that's already a big struggle because some people, again, this thing that we do to beat this disease is try to find every card, we try to find the reasons why I don't belong here, and this is a racket. He's just here to sell books, and any matter of excuses on why I should leave these bunch of crazy people. There's no reason I should be here.
Yeah.
And that's a good one. Or, can certainly be looked at as a valid reason if it was true.
Yeah. So I found those groups pretty early
That's
on.
interesting. Yeah. So you walked into basically a 12-step recovery group. Yeah. Was you going to AA otherwise?
Yeah, I was. Everything was on Zoom still.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't know.
Zoom era, didn't you?
Yeah, I came in Zoom.
I'll say, I think a recovery backed by Zoom, both of y'all, right?
Yeah.
She did before. In the past.
Yeah, she did in the past.
But still, the forging that happens of doing your recovery during that time, I believe there's a forging that happens that wouldn't happen. Like I said, it was a tough time to get sober. Let me just say that. Missing that human element, I really felt strongly about that being a part of my recovery, of walking in amongst all these guys, and specifically in the spiritual underground, and getting ready and having that human connection. It is not the same across these screens.
It's not, looking back at it, but for where I was in my life and isolating to myself in that room anyways, it was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, I can see,
it was a comfort level for me because I was like, okay, I can do these Zoom meetings.
Yep.
I'm still in my comfort zone up in this room.
Yep.
So when we actually first met for the first time at Ross's, I remember thinking, this is so weird, seeing people in person. So that took me getting used to.
Yeah, for a lot of people, walking into a room is a barrier that almost can't be overcome, And with the Zoom, that takes that out of the play. You can sit down in front of your computer in your den or living room or bedroom or whatever it is.
My therapy dog, right by my side.
And remove that element that is picking up your feet and driving someplace and walking into a room of people you don't know.
Because I really don't. I can't picture me going into actual meetings for the first time without. I'm so glad that was my introduction.
Yeah, interesting too. Yep.
Yeah.
But I guess from a guy who got sober, otherwise, it seems harder to me. Like when I did, we would leave the meeting and go to Denny's or something, and I'd get to know these people and build a further relationship. And then they would invite me and tell me they're going to be at a meeting across over here tomorrow night. Why don't you meet us there?
Yeah.
And then I'll go over there and I'd spend more time with them. And that connection was built where when the screen goes off, it's awful easy to have no contact until it's time to turn the screen back on this time next week or whatever.
Right. No, that was definitely how it was. And I was very much closed the laptop. I'm done for today.
Check the box.
Yeah. I did the meetings I'm supposed to. I know that the board is going to make me go to 3 or 4 a week. I need to do that many at night, or that many a week. Yeah.
How did you do that? How did you verify your meetings?
Oh, like on the phone, you take a screenshot of your face, you blur out everybody else.
Okay.
And then the information, you have to do a little drop down box where the Zoom is. It shows what meeting number is and the time and the date.
I would think that would be the way. We joke around about, our meeting cards still say if anybody has any papers to sign. What are these people doing? I guess they're doing screenshots. But shit, you could just come on and do the screenshot and leave.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But you can forge signatures when you walk in a room too.
True.
And, I said a little bit ago, we're the best con people in the world. So if we want to work around it,
Yeah.
We will find a way.
And I was very much just like sign in on a Tuesday, sign in on a Thursday. That was it. But it wasn't until the retreat that I really started to get connected to the people and actually form relationships.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That
yeah.
relationship forming happened in real time as I walked in the rooms, rather than like you're saying.
Yeah.
It didn't really happen until you went to someplace where.
Yeah, mine was 5 months later when we actually met in person. But that was great. Because now I have so many friends.
Yep. And you were over here that day also.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun.
Part of the group of people that came and shared the juice from that retreat.
It was amazing.
It is. There's some magic involved with that. That's good stuff.
I know. We're going to have a meeting this week about the next one.
A following?
Yeah. Going to make a little committee.
Cool.
Yeah. It should be exciting. Yeah. It'd be interesting. It's like a new page. I don't know.
Life is chapters,
Yeah.
And it is. It's turning pages. It's saying to go back to that thing about relationships and all that, or, seasons in life.
Mm-hmm.
And we adapt and improvise.
Yeah.
And, in some manner or another, I am fully convinced, because I say it all the time, that I had to find some ways to participate in my recovery. And that's a fantastic way, because it actually does create some real participation and real service, and more and more convinced of these certain elements that must be in my life for me to continue to maintain my sobriety and have frankly a pretty damn awesome life. And one of them is that element. I have to have a huge element of service in my life, and that service has got to come with like no strings attached, where I'm putting myself and doing things, and for knowing that I'm not going to get anything in return, really, other than, the spiritual juice and stuff that you get when you do this stuff. And part of that is helping other people get sober, too. A big piece of that. But I know that element of service is a huge piece that, they find, you see it, then, like, who wants to volunteer to take up communion at church, right? These other things have these elements of service too that are vital to the thing, and this recovery thing is too. It's a similar package wrapped up with a different color bow.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I'm going back to church. You took me to church, and I'm thinking, that they have like disposable communion cups now, right?
Yeah,
I think that's so cool. We were talking about it today.
The church I went to had these little plastic ones that look like little wine glasses. Little plastic. They're really cute and dainty. I wanted to keep them for some reason. I don't know what I would do with that little 1/4 ounce cup.
It's cool though.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, they bring them around, and a whole bunch of more single-use plastics out there in the garbage.
I know. I'm sure it's not as cost-effective as the way they were used to doing it, but
I never have had it any other way besides, like, I guess a Catholic thing where everybody drank out of the same damn cup.
Oh, that's
crazy, huh? Mm-hmm. Now you think about that, like in the COVID days, and we'll post that. It's like everybody's drinking
wiping it with a cloth. Like that really helped.
Yeah, they did do that, didn't they? That's like a part of the ceremony, sort of, wasn't it? As they wipe it and then serve the next person and wipe it.
I wasn't raised Catholic, but I have seen it done.
I tried to get sober on church at one point, and that was another period of sobriety for me. And I went all in. I thought I was at that point that you said earlier. That I was exhausted. I didn't know what to do. My wife's family was big time Christians. Mm-hmm. She always wanted to go to church. I didn't really want to. But I throw myself into it, and I volunteered to be parts of. I was in a ministry that worked on cars, and it had a real cute name. It'll come to me like the next podcast or something. But what we did is we got people donated cars that were not in very good shape, and we fixed them up, and we donated them to single moms.
Yeah,
and that seemed like a really good purpose in my life, put some purpose in my life, had that service aspect. I started connecting with the men who also did it,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was a lot like AA without any AA.
Right.
It had a whole lot of the same elements, and it filled a void for me, and I stayed sober 5 whole months. I was so proud of myself, I stopped on the way home one night and got a 12-pack. Because I thought, hell, if I can stay sober this time, I'm all right. I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Even though 5 months earlier, it was hell on wheels to try to just stop drinking for a day. And I really did feel good. And,
you rewarded yourself.
It plugged in some of the elements that's keeping me sober today.
Yeah.
And you'll see that in various, I don't know what kind of, in these communities where humans do life, that's a common thing, is the service element.
Yeah.
And then community. Anything else you want to talk about? Any parts of your story you didn't say, or some?
No, I'm only bringing up what I want to know. Not that I'm leaving a bunch out. I'm just so worried. There was just, a lot of the madness out there. I don't want really. I'd rather my kids not be able to hear all of it.
Yeah. What's happened since getting sober? It's been cool. The retreat.
Retreats. Well, meeting with the board of nursing has been interesting because that took a good 1.5 years. Once I finally got into the Brook and was doing IOP, and then they encourage you to go to AA meetings at night, I was like, well, I'm almost doing all the stuff that the board wanted me to do, so all I need to do is see a counselor, and I'm meeting all the requirements. I could probably get my license back. So I started doing everything, and that was, that all happened in 2017 with the board of nursing. And so for me just to be like, hey, I've been sober now for 6 months. Can you, get this back going?
3.5 years later or whatever.
And so the lady kind of put me off for a while. And I was working for a nursing home this past fall, and then I got that job shut down. And so I called the board and I was like, hey, I'm getting ready to lose this good job I had. Is there any way that we can go on to the next step and whatever it takes? And she said, well, sure, I'll try and get this referral made to the care program within the next month. And that was in January, and it just kept prolonging. And I thought, okay, this is just dragging out, and maybe she's doing it on purpose to see if I'm going to actually continue to do it, or maybe I pissed her off for not taking it so seriously in the very beginning. But my church has a ministry where they have retired lawyers that will do pro bono stuff. So I talked to this guy. He knew my dad. I was like, I don't know if you would be any help or not, but, I've been stagnant with the board of nursing for a while. And he was like, I'll try and help. And I don't know how he did it, but within a month, maybe 6 weeks, I got that referral made. And then once the referral was made, I thought, okay, then I had this meeting and I was like, I'm going to get my license back in a few weeks once I get this list of stuff they tell me to get done. And then I got all that done, and I just thought it was just going to be a matter of time. And they're like, okay, the next meeting is scheduled for September 16th. I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to reel in the expectations. Yeah, because I just thought once I get this list of stuff done, they're going to let me go back. And that's not the case.
Well, it's another common element, and none of this stuff seems to happen on the timeline we want. It's just God's time thing. And, damn if it ain't a bitch.
It is. So but there's a lot I need to get used to before I could even think about taking care of other people. Because now I'm signed up in this. It's called Affinity, but you have to sign in every day to say, are you going to get drug tested or not? Yeah, and so, I didn't do it for the first few days. I didn't realize I was supposed to go ahead and start. And this lady called me on this past Monday and was like, is everything okay? I was like, yes. We meet on the 17th. And she was like, yeah. You've missed 3 check-in days. And I was like, that was supposed to have started already? And she was like, no big deal. Just, do
start.
It. Yeah, start immediately.
I know a number of people that had to do that.
Yeah, so the first day I checked in, of course, it was like, you're going to get tested today. And I was like, that's all right. Yeah. I'll go, But even that was not.
One, right?
Oh, yeah. But even that was not an easy, go in Like, I didn't have these rec forms that they wanted me to have. And I'm like, I don't have that yet. I just signed up for this. And, you know, everything was complicated. And I tried calling the lady at the board, and she was like, you need to reach these people. And then I tried calling that person, and it was like, what's your 10-digit PIN number? And I was like, I don't know what my 10-digit PIN number is, because everything's so new. And it was just like, oh, this is so overwhelming. So it's like, I need to be able to just know. I just need to take one little step at a time. It doesn't need to be anything that I rush into. Because if I can't handle one drug test, you know, and getting all the work done for that, then was I ready to go take care of 10 people on a shift? Probably not, you know. Yep. So it's going to happen on its own time.
There's, you know, another common element. Hate to keep saying that over and over again, but, you know, for whatever reason, this thing seems to have to come with some certain things. One of them is pain. You know, we have to experience some pain and have to have whether that's really physical pain, but this mental pain, this anguish, this bottom that we have to hit. And the other, you know, you think, well, damn, you know, I hit this bottom, now I'm ready, but goddamn, now you got a bunch of hoops I got to jump through, you know? Hold on a minute. Can't y'all make this easy? And I think the answer, and I don't know, it might be, I don't know if humans actually do this or if this is a universal law. But like most times now, if you would hit that bottom, and let's say you want to get a bed at a residential facility, you know, you're going to call them up and they're going to say, we're full. You need to call back tomorrow. You know, and then we're full. So they got some hoops, and you got to have some persistence in you.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll get there, but you got to, like you're having to do. They make you, you know, there's hoops and some reaching and some exertion you have to do. And some level tells me that's for the people who really want it. Right. You have to really want it, because too many people call into that residential facility and they want a bed and they want it for tonight. Really, just like you at that one point, you know, I just need someplace to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
And they're not really invested in really getting well. And the same thing probably with this program here. Yeah. You know, they need to know you really want to do it.
Right.
It's kind of like boot camp or something. You know, you have to really show that you want it. This is just a fleeting thought of mind in the middle of a Saturday. Yeah. We'll let you just do that little thing and watch you fly away like a butterfly because you're not hanging around.
Yeah. So it's just going to take some patience.
Yep. And the steps are the same way, you know. I mean, it looks like some kind of like real big hard thing to do, and it feels like it, you know, and you do have to do some work to get to them. But it's supposed to be a little bit hard, it seems.
Yeah.
You have to apply some effort.
Yeah. But it's been fun, at least. I mean, that's the one thing I can say. I know somebody that has this page on Facebook, Bottomless to Sober. And she asked, what would you want people to know about recovery? I put on there, it can be fun. You know, a lot of people, I don't think that they think of it like that.
No, we think it's the end of fun.
Yeah, the end of fun. You're right. The end of fun.
Because it's another universal thing. Everybody walks in here and wonders how they're ever going to have fun again. Not in here, but in recovery. That the end of fun has happened. I can't do it no more ball games. I can't go to any more parties. I can't weddings. Blah, blah, blah. How am I going to go fishing? You know, it's like, you know, and the fact is that's a complete myth. The truth is it's a lot more fun today.
Definitely.
At least it is for this dude. Me
too. We have so much fun just putting a puzzle together. A puzzle. Like, we have so much fun. We get together and we just get super focused on that puzzle. It's like you can have different addictions. Puzzles are our new thing. But it's a healthy one. Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do. We have to divert our attention from whatever it was to something new, and those same kind of attributes that had us so involved in what we were doing will kind of trickle into, and that's the key. Yeah. Is to make sure that this new thing ain't something that's just as harmful as the old thing, just different.
Because addictive personality is not going anywhere. Right. It's going to stick with me no matter what it is. Yeah. It's just what I choose to spend my time doing. Yep. Is what's going to change.
That's what, you know, I've become addicted to recovery.
Yeah.
Some people look at me and think I spend way too much time doing this shit. But, it's working for me.
If it works, it's all that matters.
Yeah. half measures availed us nothing. Well, I went down the half measure path enough times to realize that wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so I said, somehow or another, I don't even think I said, I really don't know how all this evolved to be what it is today. I just really don't. It's humbling, and it's still hard to accept. I was almost, I'm sitting here second guessing, but a guy the other day said, well, they all look at you like you're a leader or something, right? I'm like, no. I didn't, what was one of the ball players? I didn't sign up to be the damn role model.
Yeah.
But.
Is that a yogiism? Yogi Berra. He had a bunch of sayings that he had.
This was like a Dennis Rodman or Charles Barkley or somebody said that.
Oh, wow.
I think one of those two. And so, I said this the last time. I said those two people, and the person that was sitting across from me told me it was Charles Barkley. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should Google it sometime.
It sounds like a Dennis Rodman thing.
Yeah. But the payoff has been wonderful. You know? And put, another universal truth, what you put into something is what you get back out of it. Mm-hmm. And if you want to do this recovery thing just like at a bare minimum, expect bare minimum results.
Yeah.
And whatever had me, and really it was desperation. There was a knowing that if I didn't stay sober, I was going to prison. And this dude did not want to go to prison.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking in the back of my head, I wouldn't admit this to anybody at the time, but if prison was looking likely, I was thinking, at least I'll have 2 or 3 days or something and I can off myself before I go.
Yeah.
Because I am not going to prison. And I just went at this with everything I had. I thought, okay, I can almost visually see, just like at a poker table, of pushing all my chips to the middle table and saying, Hail Mary, let's hope this passes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw for the end zone and see what happens. And, man, it's, as so many other people's lives, the worst thing I could think could ever happen to me turned out to be the best. We rebound off of these bottoms. And if you put the right kind of energy towards it, you end up having something brand new.
Yeah.
That's what Bill says. We were reborn. Another commonality between these spiritual teachings.
I feel like Katherine knows the answer to the Charles Barkley, Dennis Rodman.
Was it?
It was Charles Barkley. He just didn't seem that smart to say that.
He didn't say it quite like that.
Okay.
I was getting ready to say, and I was going to be wrong there too. I was going to say he's smart enough to market that grill, but that's George Foreman.
I don't have to look that one up.
I have to say, though, TSSR, the book, working at the Brook for so many years, I've met many drug counselors, and not one have I seen have the impact that this book has had on so many people. It's incredible. Like, the big book, great stuff, obviously, but like for one counselor to write a book like that, it's just been unbelievable. I know that they're wanting to take TSSR into the Brooks. We have somebody wanting to do that. I think that's great because I saw so many psych patients that were just watching the chemical dependency patients and being like, look at them getting all, and looking back now, it's like, okay, yeah, they were juiced up and they could see that and they wanted that. So I think that is just going to be incredible to offer.
Yeah. I still,
to everybody.
When I'm working with an alcoholic, I still work out of the big book.
Yeah.
But I'm like pouring TSSR methodology in
on
it
top
the whole
of it,
time,
yeah.
And I've said this before too. I'll say it again. That when my sponsor was taking me through this work, I'm like, first off, I was intimidated as crazy by him. I was just completely intimidated by him. I had him up on a pedestal, and I didn't want to lose him, and I wanted that dude to be my sponsor somehow. It was another one of those knowings inside, but I couldn't. I was afraid to death to ask him, and then he come up to me and approach me, and I was like, well, how about that? And so he's telling me these things to do, and I'm like, that ain't in the book. You know, and I'm hearing them at these AA meetings, and they're saying, do these steps out of the book. If you do them out of the book, you know, and this guy over here is telling me shit that ain't in here.
Yeah.
You know, but I never was, you know, I never had the balls to question it, right? To say, hey, man.
Yeah, show me that.
Yeah, show me where this is
what
at.
What page is that in the big book?
What page is that in the big book? And I never did. I just did what he asked me to do. And now I know what that is, you know, and I'm sure to some extent, and I even have some people like, you know, I do a lot of step work out here in the shop, and I'll see a guy rifling through the pages as I'm sitting there with my book open talking about something, you know, that ain't there.
Yeah.
But it is. It's a fantastic, and the fact of the matter is whatever, Christopher just celebrated 37 years and has had some fantastic teachers. And this, what he has, and it's not limited to him. It's the teachers that he's had. It's been to this point tribal knowledge, just verbal tradition of methods and way people can squeeze the most juice out of these 12 steps. Mm-hmm. And Christopher had it on his heart to document what had been taught to him. You know, we probably, you know, that's a miracle too, that he pursued it and actually finished it, you know.
That's a big book.
A lot of people talk about the fact that it's got a lot of words and a lot of pages, you know, but there really is a lot to what we do in TSSR. There's a lot of elements added to it that are outside the original 12 steps, but still yet in alignment with it. Mm-hmm. You know, that's another thing that, like, the traditionalists can kind of throw some stuff around about this, and, you know, again, do it by the book, you know, but, and you get results by doing it by the book, no doubt. But, you know, when I walk up to the juice bar, do I want a full cup of juice or
the
less
crayon
than
mango?
That?
The crayon mango juice we've all discovered is really good. That's what TSSR is. It's the crayon mango.
Well, I didn't know about that.
Oh, Ocean Spray. Man, it is so good. It's the best juice. Is it not? Like,
Really good.
Because I'm a juice person.
Oh
now.
my gosh, it's the best
juice. I like
juice.
all that. I like straight cranberry juice. I like
cranberry juice too. The crayon mango is
so
special.
I'll have to remember that when I go back to the store.
It is really good.
Crayon mango.
We brought it to a meeting before. Well, I did only because she left it there. She brought her own, even though I had some. She brought her own to work on a puzzle.
So, you know, if you have that opportunity to get a full cup of crayon mango juice or a half a cup or whatever, I don't even want to really put a label on the rest of it. Or do you want a full cup or less than a full cup? Well, this process here can provide you with a full cup in a relatively short amount of time. That's another thing that I've seen over and over again, because I've been blessed to have passed this on to a number of people, is that I watch people get really well really quick. You know, people who are a mess. And, you know, 4 months down the pipe, you'd never know it. You know, it's like, wow, man, the transformation. And I get the honor of being able to, like, you know, stand side by this person and talk to them on a daily basis and watch that transformation happen. And, you know, and then happen again and happen again and happen again and happen again, you know, and the experiment has been consummated in my mind. It's been repetitively demonstrated that people get really well really quickly. And I see people also that hang around these rooms that have a lot of years of being around and appear to be somewhat still sick to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want what we have, you know, well, that doesn't really look like something I want. And I did do the dance, you know. I have that personal experience of, I had 4 years of my first AA meeting to my current sobriety date, and I struggled with whether if I was, you know, I know I wasn't offered what I have today. That wasn't on the table because the people teaching me, but they had good sobriety. They could have if I would have been open to it, I could have received something better than I took. So I'm at fault on that at some level. But I just didn't see something that made me hungry enough to want it until I saw the happiness that was demonstrated in the dudes who were hanging around Spiritual Underground at the time. And even at that time, not all of them had been through TSSR, but it was rubbing off and it was contagious. So they were getting
Yeah.
Some of the same stuff. So, yeah, and that's, you said something else and I keep on blabbering. You're sitting in this place, man, and you're in the psych group, and you're looking across the hallway at these chemical dependent people, and just like hypothetically here, they're getting all happy, and they look like they're having a party in there, and it's like, what do they got? Oh, they're working the 12 steps. That's for the chemically dependent people. Sorry, we don't really have anything for you except for this pill, or try this and see if this makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Try this and see if this makes you feel better. And the fact of the matter is these 12 steps will work for everyone. Will it resolve your psych issue? I don't know, but I can guarantee it'll make it better.
Right, definitely.
It'll dissipate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no doctor, but my initials are DR. I really would like to see an experiment or do something to see just how much this really would do for people who are being diagnosed with psych issues.
Yeah.
And just see, because I'll bet you that the results would be pretty good, and maybe a better solution, because our world is Bic lighter and white pill solution to everything. The lighter runs out, you throw it away and buy a new one. We just throw you away. If you're not working, we discard you, and we try to fix you with a pill.
Yeah. I even remember psych patients would try and talk to their doctors. Well, I did smoke. I smoked a lot of weed, and they would try and get in the dual diagnosis, and so then they would become dual diagnosis. Then before you know it, they were in the CD program, and it was like, well, that's interesting, because you came in here for one thing, but they saw that this group over here was getting a lot more out of, and they were getting juiced up. So they wanted to be a part of that too. So
attraction.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. And I've had people who really don't know my full story ask me, like, what the hell happened to you, dude? I'll run into somebody and I'll start talking to them, and and it won't, a little bit of a relationship will have to develop between us. We reconnect, and maybe some little bit down the road, they're like, dude, you are like a completely different person than the guy I remember. What happened? And, well, I always gaze skyward like, okay, here comes the truth. This is going to be a little awkward, but okay.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, they're like, and I've had at least one influential person in my life say, whatever it is, I want some of it. Well, it's available. This was actually before the TSSR got off the ground.
Oh, wow.
But I knew it was coming. So I'm like, well, here shortly.
Yeah.
And they tasted it, but there's something about they didn't have the desire and wherewithal to stay with it. It's kind of like that hoop.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems with the people who come from other directions is they don't walk in with the desperation that we generally have.
That's true.
It's one of the biggest things I see about TSSR and people who come in that I say are pure TSSR people. Mm-hmm. They don't have that desperation to save the lives that we did.
Yeah.
The pain was so great for us, and it's just not hurting that bad for them. And it looks like an awful lot of work and a lot of it's a little too involved to do all that shit.
Yeah, I can see that.
So life is good today.
It's
pretty good.
Well, this week
better.
It's better. It's way better. Yeah. There's always it was a bad weekend with family, but yeah.
Hey, that's part of it though. It isn't, and it's just life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is not. As much as you might want to have a sunny, happy day every damn day, that's just not the way this ride goes.
No.
What I know today is I have tools to walk through this stuff and not let it eat me up anymore.
Yeah.
I had to invest my energy into somebody else's crap. I can just walk by it. You know, I feel like I'm slimed, like the old Ghostbusters thing. You know, I feel like they got some slime on me. You know, but I can kind of brush it off a lot easier today. And there's a big piece of it where I changed. You know, but a bigger thing is that my reaction to other people, I've been able to control that. So
yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest change.
It.
Yeah,
control is probably not the right word.
Yeah, because what happened yesterday, my parents, I normally would have just went off, acted insane, then probably went and got drunk, you know. But I was just like, just sitting there nodding my head like, you're so spiritually sick.
It is great, you know, and I try to emphasize the value of that too, whether it is true or not, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, it works for me to go, okay, this person is not evil, they're not stupid, they're not trying to hurt me, they're not...
Yeah, I don't know. This one's pretty hurtful.
I don't care if it's true or not.
Okay.
It does better for me in the way that I operate.
Yeah, I just got to remind myself.
To grant myself that, whether if it's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
And say, that person is just spiritually sick. I'm going to stay on my side of the street on this road and walk past that. Just kind of walk by it like an accident that I'm not wanting to look at.
Yeah.
Like I said, sometimes that is not necessarily the truth. Sometimes the fact is that they are trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
But
either way,
it's better for me as an operating principle to grant them spiritual sickness and than to just chalk it up that they're fuck ups.
My first sponsor taught me, she was like, every time your mom says something to you, just pretend like she's throwing a disgusting dead fish with guts hanging out. She was like, and every time she throws it, you dodge it. Don't try and catch it. Why are you trying to catch it? Yep. And so I'm always like, just trying to dodge that because it's going to stink. It's going to stink if I try and catch it. It ain't going to be pretty.
Yep. The same thing goes for carrying this old stuff.
Yeah.
This stuff from the past, too. You know, I mean, do you really want to carry that around? How's that working for you?
Yeah.
You know, so what? It's hard to let go of. So what? They're still doing it today.
Yeah.
What do you want for your remaining days around here?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of... Another one of my favorite lines in there is, the world and its people are quite often wrong. In the big book. That's the truth.
It is.
But obsessing on that does mean no good.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I got a gavel and I can condemn you as wrong. Doesn't do any good.
Right.
Doesn't do any good at all. Any concluding thoughts?
No, I think I'm just, you wouldn't know it from this weekend, but I'm generally just in a much better place. I'm just having a great time with my friends. I'm getting my shit together. That's nice. You know, it might not be happening as fast as I want it to, but I have hope, you know. That's something I did not have a few years ago. Yeah. I had no hope. So...
Hope is a great thing.
It's so awesome. It's awesome. It's not, I'm not sure what to do with it sometimes, you know, and then I take it to these places that aren't realistic, but it's still good to have regardless. No doubt. And then I've got to reel myself in.
Yep. Have some aim.
Yeah.
And we're allowed to aim high.
Yeah.
It's not one of those, seems to be a fundamental thing, similar, like I said, element of service in my life. I also need like something in the future to hope for.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have something like sitting out there that I'm looking forward to, whether if it's reality or not. Or, you know, in recovery, I've learned to dream big. I never thought I'd have my own business, be able to wake up in the morning and walk out here and make sawdust and pay the bills with that.
Yeah.
But I aimed for it, and I really didn't think it would happen. But here I am. You know, and so sometimes when I set those aims, man, there they are. They happen for me. And I can't get my expectations up like you had said earlier.
Yeah.
But I keep on walking. And other things are things like having something fun to do later on down the road, like a retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Having something sitting out there that you're looking forward to. This trip to Colorado, I've been looking forward to it for a long time. So have something laying out there in the future that will keep some some hope and some anticipation in your life.
Yeah. For
Seems
sure.
to be key.
Yeah. I think one day I would like, because I want to get back into nursing, that'll be its own, thing that I have to tackle first. But I think like, I have this thing in my head that in a few years after I've maintained a good job for a while, that I would like to go to like nursing schools, and because they always do psych and chemical dependency in their last semester. That's when they take that class. I'd love to go talk to nursing students about the risk of nursing and addiction. Like, there's just so much that we're not taught, and even just how we speak about certain things. If you're in the emergency room and you get somebody coming in and they're in a lot of pain, we tell them, well, hold on, we're about ready to give you the good stuff. We should not be talking like that. Why are we calling it the good stuff? So in our heads, we're already thinking, this is the good stuff. That's just dangerous thinking.
Mm-hmm.
The dangers of working with another sick nurse, never would have thought about that. I just assumed when they said we were going to waste this medicine, we were going to waste that medicine, But there's just a lot we don't think about. Even nursing, we just turn to pills. Pills are nothing. That's just, you've got a headache. Do you want ibuprofen or do you want Tylenol? We're just always ready to turn to pills for an answer.
Yep.
So I think there's just so much that can be taught in the forefront before they're even, years down the road.
Yep. Preemptive.
Yeah.
Yep. I think
Like, why? I was like, why wasn't I taught that stuff? We should be taught that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a future goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That was kind of a goal of mine too, I have a one in my heart that's to try and, and I know that we can sound like Charlie Brown's teachers when we're talking to young people. But that's been the thing on my heart to try to get through to, and I was warned about the dangers of this stuff. But I was warned by people who didn't do what I did.
Yeah.
And I can stand here and talk from some experience and some real authenticity about where this happens. When the detective came into school and said, "Don't do drugs."
Yeah.
We just laughed at him, right?
Right.
Maybe if somebody come in here that had a story that journey, because that's what over and over again too. It's our stories are so valuable. It's AA had it down from the beginning as far as in your hell Bible is nothing but stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're stories. That's how we pass down information. Christopher's book is one big story.
Yeah.
And we sit here and we listen to one another's stories. And I've heard through the grapevine that some of my kids' friends have been listening to the podcast.
Oh, wow.
And at least the seed is planted, right?
Yeah.
And whether if it diverts them or doesn't, the seed has been planted on where to go when you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Because, even when, one of the girls in our group, her daughter will come, she's 17 maybe, and I'm like, how cool is it that she's getting this from the get-go?
Yep.
Like, my son just celebrated a year, and thank God he did, but it's like, what if he had been in the meetings from 17 and on? Would he have ever have needed, have gotten to a point where he had a drinking problem? So it's just, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that the kids are in it and hearing it. And it's real stuff they're hearing.
Yep.
Like you said, not just warnings.
Yeah.
The fluff. Yeah.
Yeah. And people who have walked it.
Yeah.
We can be pretty graphic, at times with what's happened to us and should be.
Yeah.
Because if we sugarcoat it, sometimes it can look sugar-coated because we're laughing about it.
Mm-hmm.
It says that in the book too. Sometimes people are shocked by the levity and laughter or something that involve while we're telling our stories. That it still sinks in. They know that we're speaking from truth.
Yeah.
And there's also that thing where it just seems that, the other problem is that I'm not a huge determination thing that like the life is predetermined for us, and that kind of thing. But there is this journeys that we just seem to have to go on, and I'm dealing with it right now with my daughter. She's playing with this stuff that I've been warning her about all her, since she was a little kid.
Yeah.
That she don't think it'll happen to her, so yeah. But like I said, the seeds are planted, and at least I have my consciousness can be clear that I'm doing everything I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why weren't we told? How come you didn't tell me?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get out there and tell people about it, and this podcast is a big place where things get told. I have this crystal ball out here. It's a little bit of a. It has multiple meanings. One of the things is a lot of times I do feel like I can tell the future. One of the things is if you come and you met me and you don't work these 12 steps, your life's probably going to get worse. Don't have to work them with me, but if you don't, it will. And the other thing it tells me is that if you do work this, things are going to get better. But my sponsor seemed to have this crystal ball I talk about once in a while, and he'll make these statements, and especially early in recovery, I'm thinking, what is this dude saying? And one of the things he said early on, he said, I don't know what it is, but I have this feeling that someday your voice is going to be heard like on this bigger level. Mm-hmm. And down the road, and it took, I was doing a podcast for a while before that rearview mirror showed up, and I recalled him saying that. And
cool.
That's a little piece of that crystal ball is I listened to my sponsor. His crystal ball works pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think it's a gift of recovery, is a little bit of a crystal ball that we can kind of see where the path is, and so we all have that, and we can hopefully we may be able to avert some other people's paths by telling our stories.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Cool. Well, close this thing the same way as always. I'll say one last thing. I have seen a huge change in you. That is a blessing of hanging around these recovery rooms. This is watch people blossom and watch them come back into life. Because you can see, same thing with that crystal ball AADAR thing, you can see inside these people this person that wants to come out.
Yeah.
And it's blocked. And it's almost like, especially like Zoom almost multiplies it. Because like with the Zoom, there's almost like a filter in the screen that is like going, I'm not really here.
It's looking down like this.
I'm just participating here. I'm not invested in it. And that's the way you looked in the beginning. It was just,
oh yeah,
I'm here, but I'm going to pull this kind of curtain like what do you call it?
The green screen?
No, the blinds that people, the ones you can see through, the shears, like.
The shears.
Those kind of, that's going to pull close. You can see me, but I'm not going to let you be seen.
I was very sad in the beginning.
Yeah. And to watch you bloom and come out of yourself and get closer to the person who you really are in there is it's a blessing to get to watch that. And I've seen you come a long way in a short amount of time, really, because this year's a drop in the bucket, man. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's a drop in the bucket, and you put some effort forth and get a hold of your true voice, your true person, and get to be the person that you were meant to be.
Yeah. I think one thing for me was I thought in the beginning the groups were like therapy. And I was coming in with all the problems. And then I realized, therapy needs to just be in therapy, and recovery needs to be just in these groups, and it needs to be about the solution. So it took me a few months to realize that, hey, this isn't therapy we're doing right here. Yeah. I have a therapist for that. Yeah. So, and once everything changed from that point on, once I realized that.
That's a very good point, because it does kind of blur the line, and we are allowed to dump our buckets and come in and do that, but it is not a place to offload your whole week's worth of shit or whatever. Right. I'm going to keep notes, make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you about everything that happened between last week and this week. Right. No, that's not what we're doing. Yeah, exactly. I think it's the value of sponsorship in my world, because I don't see a therapist, but mine is kind of one. Mm-hmm. He is. but I play that role too, and I'm not one, right? Yeah. In my people's lives, and that's one of the things that I may have said that already today, that people say, how come you never have anything to complain about in the meetings? Well, because I discharge all my bullshit to my people, to my, over here on the side, so I don't have to drag it in here and bog you all down. Life is pretty damn good, and I don't have much shit in my life, really. But, yeah, and it's a fine line, and some people do treat the rooms like therapy, and they're going to unload their entire bucket every week, and that is not what we're here for. I'm glad that good point on bringing out that observation, and that it was a turning point for you.
It was a big turning point. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I don't know sobriety without TSSR too. Like I don't know any different, so I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's another real humbling thing to have been around long for pretty much in the majority of the whole TSSR ride from Christopher writing it, and one day saying on the telephone, because I had to call him every day, right? And one day he was saying, I said, "What are you doing tonight?" And he said, "Oh, I'm writing tonight." And I'd hear him say that, but I would never ask any questions. I figured if he wanted to tell me, he'd tell me. And he led on to me one time about him writing this book, and he started telling me about this. And, I'm as sick as everybody else. I want to poo-poo that right off. I roll my eyes like, who's this dude think what?
Yeah.
And didn't understand it. But then he started handing, one day he said, "Hey, I got a chapter of his book, and I'd like for you to read it and let me know what you think. Don't tell anybody, okay? Because other people want it too, and I don't want to be passing around chapters to everybody. Keep it under your nose." And so I did, and then to get to read those and watch the whole thing evolve, and then to watch that we've got this big place where people are improving the quality of their lives as a result of it, and haven't got to be like sitting next to him the whole time through it. It's really, really cool.
That is incredible.
He made a point the other day. There was a story that, and that's why I'm questioning it, but I probably, now that I've already did it, I will have to go down it a little bit. I've reeled back in other times. Scott Lee tells a story about taking a little kid fishing. And it was really heartwarming to him. And he said when he told the story, when he started telling the story, it let the sunshine out of the story. And I see that, like, I feel like earlier on in my recovery, I could tell some of my stories with a lot more impact than I can now. Because like I've told it, and it's lost the shine, so to speak. And that's what I wonder about this particular thing. But I'm going to say it anyway. So you made that juice jar for the Misfits. And the smiling faces on it and all around it. And it was brought to my attention that if I ever think that we're not having an impact on this world, take a look at that Misfits juice jar, look at the smiles on those faces, and then also look at how many times your picture is in those pictures. And it hit me pretty hard when that get brought to my attention that we get to play this part, and it really is. It's impacting the world.
Yeah.
And I think it will continue to do so, and I'm anxious to watch it grow. And some days it is like, why am I doing this? Is it really worth it? And the smiles on that box are reflective of, yes, it is worth it.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Well, what I'm talking about is she made the donation jar for the Misfits meeting that happens on 2 o'clock on Sundays at Middletown Baptist Church. No, Middletown Christian Church. Is it Baptist or Christian? Baptist.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You kind of saved me in a way.
Good.
I was kind of, the other side of it was I was a little bit struggling because I wanted to have episodes in the can for while I'm gone.
Yeah.
Not that it's the end of the world, but I would like to do that. And you have satisfied that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay. It's done.
Yeah. That's one thing, man. I have no shortage of guests.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I need more people to keep on coming in TSSR. So more stories to tell on the podcast.
More stories.
I am having a blast. If you're not having a blast in your recovery, it's your own damn fault. because it's available to you. And thank you all for allowing Cindy, Katherine, and I to participate in our recoveries in this manner today. Peace out.
Peace out.